I'll go ahead and start.
Okay.
We're recording now.
Is that okay? I see your little blinking light up there now. Was it recording earlier?
I stopped
Did
it.
you stopped it? Okay, cool. Fix that. I knew I saw a little bit red blinking light earlier. So
Yeah, there it is.
okay, cool. All right. Well, here. Let me go ahead and get going and trying to figure out which way I need to look. My main screen's over here, but my my video's over here. So. Um, uh, Genie is a brand new sourcing app that uh, I've developed, and it greatly helps you in creating sourcing teams. Makes that process much easier, and we'll go into how that happens and how that works a little bit later. But first off, I thought we'd go and little slides and stuff. The slides will work. Do a little intros. Mr. Paul is our host for the night. He is an awesome Amazon selling coach. So if you need any coaching, you could ask about him. And he is also my biggest, best beta tester for Genie, and is just going crazy with building his team out.
Yeah.
And I'll let him talk about that just a sec. And then I'm John Paul Jones, and I'm the developer behind Genie. And but Paul, why don't you go ahead and tell them a little bit about you and what you've been able to accomplish this year.
Yeah, so I learned about Genie from John Paul back in January, and I was just starting to go full time. I went full time with Amazon the beginning of fourth quarter last year. And so John Paul's app really helped me build a team quickly. And so instead of taking a month and a half or so to train somebody, I could hand somebody Genie and take them to a store one time or two times, and then they were on their way sourcing for me. Just because of how fast it just automates that process. So I went from a team of just me to now I have 6 people on that team, and just kind of slowly add people as finances allow. So it's not so much the hindrance isn't really finding people to source. It's more of finding enough money for them to spend on my end. But that's where I'm at right now.
That's a good problem to have, though, right?
Yes.
You have the money to spend, or run that money out. You got people to go and spend it for you, though. So you're not having to do all that work. So, and a little background of why I built Genie in the first place. I actually started out as doing private label from the beginning on Amazon, and which was, I kind of did things a little bit backwards. Most people start out with RA and work into either wholesale or private label or something like that. I started with private label, and I still do private label, but I saw everybody doing, or a lot of people doing a lot of RA. And I found it kind of interesting because I could see a means to automate some of what a lot of people were doing. And a lot of, most people go out with the scanning app, scan something, have a bunch of criteria in their head or on a sheet or something like that to figure out what they want to buy, and then make those decisions while they're standing there with that item in front of them. And I saw some opportunity to use the data that Amazon has and some other data that's available to make that process easier, and to make it easier to scale that so that you can build a team out to be able to do RA more efficiently. So that's kind of what the next slide was about. I kind of got ahead of myself. So this is kind of the comparison of what sourcing apps are available right now. And most sourcing apps, kind of like what I was just saying, like you find an item in a store, you scan it, you manually check that item sales rank against some sales rank sheet that you got from online, or something you got in your head, what you've come up with of your criteria. You figure out what the gross amount you're going to get back after fees. Your sourcing app will usually tell you that, at least, and then you may have to manually put in your cost of that item that you're looking at to find out what your ROI was going to be. And if that item matches your profit and ROI expectations, then you put that in your cart and you go on to the next item. Well, with Genie, you scan the item, but the scanning of that item is really kind of the step two. Step one is going through, and we'll show you this in a little bit, but a process of setting up what your criteria is and you'll set all that up long before you actually go into a store. So you set up what your sales rank criteria is, and what kind of ROIs you want to get for the particular sales ranks, and in Genie they're called tiers. So you can have multiple tiers for a category, and you can say from this rank to this rank, I want to get a particular ROI on an item. So after you've already have all that stuff set up, when you go into a store, you scan an item, and then based on the rules that you've already set, those category rules you've already set, and the ROIs that you want, Genie will tell you what you should buy that item at to be able to get the ROI that you want. And if the item in front of you is the same or less than the buy at price that the app shows you, then you put it in your cart. And the nice thing about that is it makes it really easy, so you don't have to be the one that actually scans the item and puts it in your cart. And you can very easily create sourcing teams, like Paul was saying, to have people to go out to the stores and find those items and buy them for you, because there's very little training. All they really have to be able to do is be able to pick up an item and point a phone at a barcode, and then the app pretty much tells them whether to buy the item or not, based on the rules that you've already preset before they ever go into the store. And if y'all have any questions, you can just put them in the chat, and hopefully Paul is watching that, because it's on my other screen, so I'm not really seeing it. But
I'm paying attention to it if anybody has questions.
Awesome, thanks, man. So okay, so you're probably asking then, how does that work? How is it figuring out how much how much you should buy that item for? Well, like I said, it's based on some rules that you'll set, and I'll show you how those rules are set up here in a minute. That it's based on for a particular category, you can have so let's say like kitchen. You can have a set of tiers of sales rank tiers. So like from 1 to 10,000, or whatever you want to pick, and you can also do it based on percentage ranks as well. You say that you want to get a particular ROI for that sales rank range, and then it takes that information and then finds the tier that you're going to that item matches into, and then it makes a recommendation based on the lowest FBA price that's currently available. It also does some other things if there's no FBA prices, if there's only merchant fulfilled, and even if there's absolutely no current offer at all, it can do make some recommendations as well. But based on those rules, it will give you a buy at price that it'll calculate that is based on those rules, and will tell you to buy that item at this price or less. And then all you have to do is be able to say if the price on the item is less than that price, then it's a good buy. Do you have something to add, Paul?
One of my favorite things about the app too is the title search match. Even though you have to be really careful with this feature, because instead of ScanGenie looking at the UPC and matching it to the Amazon catalog, it's looking up the title of the product that was just scanned and matching it to Amazon. Oftentimes, these title searches are just there's no sellers on them, so you can get a premium price. Did I explain that right?
Yeah, yeah. And I'll show an example of one of those earlier or later. And I'll get into that in just a sec. But first, let me show you an example of how that recommendation process works. So say you scan this nice backpack here. I just randomly picked this off Amazon. I don't really know anything about this backpack. I've never sold one, but let's say it's has a sales rank of 10,000 in sports. Well, at that rank, 50% ROI for that rank. Let's say you said from 1 to 20,000 or something, you want a 50% rank or 50% ROI. So it finds that range, and then let's say that the lowest FBA price for that backpack currently is $30. Don't go look it up right now because it's not exactly, but this is just an example. So you've got a $30 item that's currently selling on Amazon. Let's say the FBA fees and commissions and everything are $7. That's just made up as well, but let's go with that. So just an example. So your gross after your fees is $23. So doing a little 8th grade algebra, the system goes and takes that buy price and the ROI that you're expecting, and figures that you can pay up to $23, you can pay up to $15.33 for that item and still get a 50% ROI on your sale. So now it could be 50% ROI. You could say you want 100% on ROI on everything. It's just whatever you want to do. That's all in your settings, and there's some more advanced settings than that as well, and we'll look at those here in just a little bit. But that's the simplest of examples of how ScanGenie is making its calculations. This is some of the other features that are available in ScanGenie. It does have the app does have a very fast barcode scanner. It's actually the same scanning technology that is in Scoutify, if you happen to use Scoutify, although I think it may have a little bit newer version of their the scanning tool, so I think it's actually a little bit faster. It has a means for having an exportable shopping list. So if you're shopping and you find an item to buy, you can mark it as being purchased. Then when you get back home, or your shoppers come back from a shopping trip or whatever, you can go onto the website and download that list in a CSV or an Excel spreadsheet, and use that for uploading into your listing system or whatever you need to use that for. You can also use it for means of paying your shoppers too, if that's something you want to do. You can set up discounts and taxes in the app, so it'll automatically figure those into your recommendation prices. So if you have a discounted gift card, if you got a 10% discounted gift card, it'll use that in the calculation to figure out that you can actually spend a little bit more or for that item because your money is basically a little cheaper, or your money is going further. Uh,
Can I jump in?
yeah,
That is really a huge time saver, the discounts and tax stuff that you can just throw into the app. So even whenever, like, let's say you're at Toys R Us and you're shopping and you have a 10% discounted gift card, you're not paying any sales tax, or let's say you're paying 7% sales tax, so it would do that math. And then you walk up on a clearance rack and everything's 50% off, but they don't have the actual price marked on the product. You can actually go and, or no, the price, let's say it's $10.99, but you get 50% off. So ScanGenie does that math for you. So you don't have to punch in your phone on a calculator all those additional discounts to see what your profit's going to be.
yeah, that works. That works nicely. And I don't know that I've actually used it that way, but it works just as well because I just haven't run into those as much. But when we were using a lot of gift cards, though, so we get a 15% off a discounted gift card. So you can put that in there, it'll automatically take that 15% off. But yeah, if you've got everything in one section of a store is 50% off or whatever, you can do that kind of thing. Or I guess even if it was like buy one get one free kind of thing, you could put those percentages in. So that's very handy, and it makes it so that if you do have shoppers that go out for you, makes it easy for them to go out and do those kind of things, though, because they don't have to do that math. The app also has a keep a graph shown directly in the app, so that's easy to be able to take a glance at. You can quickly get to camel, or the full keep a listing for it. You can hop over to Amazon for listing restrictions and check those out. Paul said something about this earlier, but the automatic title search, and I'll show you an example of that here in just a little bit. That goes into play when you scan something that the UPC isn't available on Amazon. We have a database of over 100,000 UPCs, and they're matching title information and a bunch of other information about it as well. And the system will automatically go out if it didn't find a UPC match on Amazon. It'll go out and get that title, and then it'll do a text search on Amazon to see if it can find that product. So this works really well for like private label products for different stores, like Walmart or Kmart or things like that have their own brands. A lot of times those things aren't listed on Amazon. They will be listed, but they won't be listed under the correct UPC. So this gives you a way of being able to find those things without having to type the titles in. And ScanGenie does have a title or a text search, so you can still type things in if you need to. But this gives you a way of not having to do that. I mean, it's definitely far from perfect. I think mostly because Amazon's text search is really not all that great, but a lot of times it'll give you something good though. And then the third-party match technology is very similar to the title search. It's using the same 100,000 or UPC database, or 100 million, not 100,000. But instead of doing title searches when it goes back to Amazon, our UPC database also has the ASINs of many of the items on Amazon linked to those UPCs as well. And where the third-party match comes in is not necessarily that the item's not listed on Amazon under that UPC, but it's usually because the item has been out of stock for a certain amount of time. And Amazon's API and even the Amazon app itself will not even find those items. But this technology will. When a third party match comes up, it usually means that you're going to be the only one selling that item, because there's no current offers on it. And even if you scan that item with the Amazon seller app, it won't find it. Now, if you happen to know what the ASIN is, you can type it in and get it, but it won't find it by the UPC. I really don't actually know why it doesn't find it by the UPC, but for whatever reason, Amazon system doesn't find it. But it still gives you an extra boost there, though, because you're able to list that item, and other people may not even be able to get any information on it at all. Now, the title search and the third-party match search are pro features. There's two levels in ScanGenie. There's a basic version and a pro version. So that part costs a little bit more, but it can be well worth it, though, to be able to find those items, though, that other people won't be able to match. Okay, demo time. I'm a software developer, and I always like it when they get to the demos. So, nobody likes to just watch slides. So let's see it actually do something. Get out of here. Let's see here. Okay. Can you see that, Paul? You see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Oh. All right. We'll start in here because this is kind of like what I was talking about earlier. You want to set your recommendation settings up and all your other settings before you actually go out in the store, because when you get to the store, you really just want to scan an item and see have it tell you whether to buy it or not. So this is kind of the meat of everything. This is the ScanGenie web interface, and this is the main team settings. ScanGenie is set up in teams, so you have a set of team settings, and then you have a set of team member settings. And the team members, or so you can add members to your team, and they can go out and shop, and it keeps a separate history for those people, and you can go back and look at those things too. So you can kind of see what people, what your team members have been scanning. So let's look through some of these settings here real quick. On these team purchase settings, this lets you set what your minimum profit is going to be for an item that you're going to scan. So let's say that you don't want to buy anything that's not going to make you at least $5 of profit. You can put $5 in here. And then when ScanGenie's making its recommendation, it'll take that into account, which means that if the item you scan says it's you've said for that rank you want to get a 50% ROI, if the return is not going to be at least $5, then the system will automatically change the recommendation and change the ROI till it gets to $5. So if you at 50% ROI, you're only going to make $3. It may change it to be a 80% ROI, so you can get $5. So it takes those into account to set what your buyout price will be. The outbound shipping rate is saying how much your shipping is going to be, and that's to figure out what your fees are going to be on an item. So it gives you those accurately. And everybody's shipping rates are usually a little bit different depending on how far you have to ship. Now, this new MSRP discount, this is kind of what I was talking about earlier about how ScanGenie can give you a recommendation to buy, even if there's currently no current offers on an item. So if if you scan an item and there's no offers currently, um, and the way it does its recommendations is based on what a current price is. So if there's no current offers, then there's no price to really calculate against. But what this will do though is if there is a MSRP price set on the item in Amazon, it will use that to make its recommendation. So what this percentage is here is so you can say I want to make that base my price on in this particular case the default is 90% of the MSRP price. So if you're looking at an item that MSRP price was $100, it would base its calculations off of $90 to get that 90%. And then it would still be able to give you a based on the fees and what ROI you wanted for that item, it could still give you a recommendation. Now, Scan Genie can also give you recommendations on used items as well. I've really never used this for anything other than doing some used books, but I mean it can do that. Well, you've done some used toys, I guess too. What this setting does though is if there are currently no used offers, it will use this percentage to come up with that percentage of the current new price to figure up a used price. So it'll use, like, in the default is 75%. So it'll take 75% of the current new price to come up with the used price to use for the recommendations. Okay. Go ahead.
The sold by Amazon.
I completely forgot about that. Yeah, there's a little option down here for rejecting if it's sold by Amazon. This is kind of a global setting, so if you turn that on, then it will not recommend any items that are sold by Amazon currently. I put this in here just for completeness. I don't know that I would ever do this globally. I would probably do it at a higher tier level. I'll show you in the tiers here in just a sec. But if it's a low ranking item, I don't usually really care if Amazon's selling on it or not. So, but some people do, so it's in there. If you want to do that. So, okay. We'll come back to the team members here in a minute. Let's look at the recommendation settings. This is kind of the meat of the system. This is what all your recommendations are based off of in Scan Genie. When you scan something, let's see. Let's go look at toys. So you can set up. Well, let me go back for a second. You can set up for each tier or for each category a set of tiers that have a range of sales ranks and ROIs and some other settings that go along with those. So like I have a toy category here, and then I have two tiers set up. So tier 1 goes from 1 to 30,000. And so I've said here that if anything between 1 and 30,000, I'll take a 50% ROI. And then between 30,000 and 50,000, I'll take a 75% ROI. And then anything over 50,000, I don't want to buy. So Scan Genie will just not recommend those items if it's over 50,000. So that may not be what you want to do. You may, do up to whatever rank you want, but you can put as many of these tiers in here you want, though. You can have just one tier if you like. It doesn't really. It's just up to you and your model. So, but if you go into each tier, though, a tier can be this maximum rank type. Let you set whether it's going to be based on a specific rank or a percentage. So you can say, I can say that I want it to go up to 30,000, or I can say I want it to go to 1% of the category, whichever it is. So you can pick which one of those are. But for a particular category, you can only have one or the other. You can't have, the first tier in the toy category be based on a rank, and then the second tier based on a percentage, because they kind of fight with each other. So after you pick one for a category, it has to stick that way. So for this tier, we've got up to, it's 1 to 30,000, 1 to 50% ROI. But then you have some other settings in here too. So like, we saw in the kind of global settings where you could set a minimum profit, but you can also set that at a tier level as well. So if I wanted to, for up to 30,000 in toys, wanted to make at least, $10 profit, I can put that in here, and the system will figure that into its recommendation. You can also set whether it's you want to reject anything that's sold by currently sold by Amazon. Which, like I said, if I was going to use this option, I would use it in one of these tiers, and probably in a higher rank tier. And then the maximum number of sellers allows you to say, if you don't want to buy an item that has more than 20 sellers or something like that, you can put that maximum number in here, and it'll take that into account as well. And if it had 22 sellers, it wouldn't recommend buying that item. Now, this alt ROI over here, this is kind of interesting, because what this will do is say, from 1 to 30,000, we said we want 50% ROI. But you can say over here and under an alternate ROI to say, if the profit is, in this particular case, $8, I'll take a 30% ROI. So you can kind of change these settings a little bit to be able to say, if the profit is enough, then you'll take a lesser ROI for that particular tier. Do you have anything you want to add to that, Paul? Any way you use these?
I do for the reject if sold by Amazon. I use that for certain categories. I don't typically mess with the number of sellers too much, but I do like the alternate ROI to be able to override that. Just for clarity, you can do that alternate ROI in all of your tiers, or is it just in one tier?
No, you can do it in any tier. And you can, and actually, what way I've used this, I have a few tiers that I'll have 2 of them that are the same rank, or same rank settings, but only one of them will have. Let's see, is it right? I'm trying to remember if that's how I have it set or not. Well, let's not get into that. Anyway, to answer your question, yes.
Yes.
Okay. Remember exactly how that worked, but yes, you can have a alternate on this one, and you can have an alternate on the next one as well, or you can have it just on one, however you want to do that, or you can have 12 different tiers and have them all have alternates.
Gotcha.
So however you want to do that.
Good.
But yeah, because you can go in here and add another tier, and it will work into the settings here.
Yep.
Another thing you can do over here is there is a default category, which just kind of works for anything that you don't have any specific category settings for. Which that one kind of works well to use percentage ranks instead of specific ranks, because if you if you haven't said exactly what the tier or what the category is, then it's not really all that specific anyway. And category, the category numbers are wildly different between the categories. Um, but this is an example of where you can have percentages though instead of specific ranks. So like in this particular one, up to a 0.3% of a category, you'll get a 50% ROI. And it will use this default category if it's not something already specific here. So like I don't have kitchen defined here. So if you scan a kitchen item, it's going to use this default category. But if you want to have specific things for kitchen, you can set up a kitchen category and have it do that too. So
one thing as well, whenever you do, if you want to switch a category from sales rank to percentage or vice versa, you have to delete all of the existing ones that you have. So if you have a 30,000 rank tier, you have to delete all your tiers and then start back from the beginning.
Oh, to switch from
Right.
specific ranks to percentage ranks.
Correct.
Yeah. I don't know that I've ever really had to do that much, but
Just for the new person that's trying to figure it out.
Yeah. Because I thought it was a little weird to be able to have both of them in the same category. Have a percentage and a specific one, because one could really, you don't really know what the other one means. I mean, the percentage one means exactly. So
right.
I set it up so that you have to stick with one for that category. But I don't know. I haven't really run into that really being a big problem. But
no.
But yeah, if you do want to switch between them, though, you do have to delete them out and start fresh for that. Just for that category, though, not all your stuff.
Yep.
Okay. The only thing else in here, take it back. Let's look at team members real quick. So under team members, you can set up your settings for each individual team member on your team, and this person or this team only has one person at the moment, but we can go in here and add our test guy here. You can set their time zone, which is really just affecting the display of the times inside the app. But this profit share percentage lets you set if you're going to pay your shoppers based on a percentage of profit, you can set this to whatever percentage that you're going to pay them. So like say you're going to pay them 15% of the profit or something like that, whatever it is. And then within the app, I'll show you this in a minute, but you can mark an item as being that you're going to purchase. You can put in the buy cost, and if it's a shopper that's set up like this with a certain profit share percentage, it will show them what their share is, so they can see while they're in the store what their share of that item was. So now this product view down here, do you use this, Paul? Do you change this at all?
I don't personally.
Okay.
I mean, they're already spending my money, so.
Yeah. Well, the only thing this really does, and I have it set to limited on my shoppers, but for most of them at least, but just because it hides the net profit calculations or the display from them, because it was just stuff they didn't have to see. I'm not paying them my shoppers a percentage of profit, so they didn't really even need to see that kind of stuff. So, but you can say it's defaults to standard, which shows everything. Limited just turns a few things off, and I'll show you that in just a sec. So, anyway, that's how you set up your team members. Now let's see. Let me see if I can share iPhone screen here, and I'll show you what the app looks like.
John Paul, while you're doing that,
Mm-hmm.
the whenever you set the 15% of the profit share, it doesn't total up everything that they buy on that list, does it? It just shows them per unit what they're.
No, you mean in the app? Are you talking about?
Yes.
No, it doesn't give them a total or anything right now. I am storing that information, so I probably could at some point in time, and that does go into the downloadable report that you can get. So that, but yeah, I've thought about that. That would be nice to be able to see that. But there's some other things I got to work out too to be able to do that. But yeah, that's something on the list though. All right, let's see. Get this screen share thing going here. All right. Let's see.
It's
Are you seeing the iPhone screen now?
Yep.
Okay. Is that all you're seeing? Just
Yep.
that part? Okay. All right. Making sure what I'm looking at here. Let me pull it up here a second. Yeah. Okay. So this is what the home screw to scan Genie looks like. You have an option for doing a scan or a search. If you go into search, that does the basic text search, and then scan brings up a barcode scanner, just like Amazon scanning app or anything like that. Down at the bottom, you have an option for history. This is stuff I was scanning earlier. Let's let you look at your history, or you can switch over the tab at the bottom to team, and you can see your team members' history. And this team I have set up only has one team member, so there's not different members in here. But if you had multiple team members, though, you would see each of their scans in here as well. So I should turn my notifications off. So like here, let's go through this. Let's scan something and see what it does. Here. All right, so I'm trying to scan off of a computer monitor, so it's a little weird sometimes. But okay, so I got to scan these Legos. These happen to be discontinued by the manufacturer, so they're rather pricey. So this particular item has a rank of 38,000. Shows up here at the top. Shows the percentage rank, or the percentage of the category is 0.81%. Category is toy. There's currently 36 sellers. Gives you one of the things that I didn't like about most of the scanning apps is that the image of the item itself was usually teeny tiny, and you couldn't really tell what it was. So I made a point to make it rather large on here, so it was easy to see that what you have in your hand or what you're scanning actually matches the item. But this big green buy at, though, is the calculation of what you should be able to buy that at to get the return that you want. And if you scroll down to the bottom, you also have the keep a graph here. But at the very bottom now, it shows the current list price of that item is $146.19. The gross after fees and your shipping expenses and all is $111 or $114.57. And the settings that we had already set up in the website, the tier we had that it's picking up is the second tier for toys that we looked at earlier that goes up to 50,000, because this particular item is 38,000 rank. So it's over the 30,000 rank that we had two tiers. There was one from that went up to 30,000, and then one that went up to 50,000. So this one goes into that second tier, and we said on that second tier we wanted a 75% ROI. So it's calculating that your minimum profit at a 75% ROI will be $49.10 if you buy that item at $65.47. Now, if you buy it for cheaper than that, then your ROI and your profit's going to be more. But that's the maximum you can pay for that item, that $65.47. It's the maximum you can pay for that item and still ROI that you're wanting. And that's about as easy as I could think you could really make that. And so if you've got a shopper that's going out for you, they scan that item, it says $65.47, and the item that they're got in front of them that's on clearance or whatever. Oh, stop that. Is $59. Then they put that in the cart because it's less than the price on here, and that makes it really easy for them to go and buy those items. That setting I was talking about earlier that lets you turn some settings off inside the app for each team member. The product view that was standard or limited. If you put it in the limited, this list price, gross min profit, and min ROI is hidden. So if you don't want your shoppers to see that information, it doesn't. I don't think in most cases really helps them shop. So if you don't want them to see that, you can turn that off. So do you have anything to add to that, Paul?
No. I'm trying to think. Did you show how to add it to a cart?
Yeah, that was next. Okay, so let's say that you want to buy this item. You can tap the green bar up here, the buy at price, and it will come up and ask you how many, the quantity that you're buying, the price. Let's say we found two of them. The price was, $59.99. Let's say. You can put a store in. So let's say we found them at Walmart. Okay. Now the profit share here, since we're the head team or the main team member here, the profit share is going to show the entire profit. So this is actually going to be the 100% of the profit. But so at $59.99, our I was fixing to say that doesn't seem right, but I did say we wanted two of them. Yeah, so let's go back to one, and that will make more sense. So our profit share is $54.58. So 100, all of our profit be with that. So you notice down here the min profit was $49.10. That was if you bought it at exactly the price that it recommended. But since we're buying it a little bit cheaper, our profit's actually a little bit higher. So you say we found one of them. It was $59.99. We hit save there. Now it shows a little shopping icon up here to show that we've put that item in the cart. And then when we get done with our shopping trip, you can go into the website, you can run a report, and you can pull that information down. So if you want to use that for reporting or for paying your shoppers or import it into Inventory Lab or whatever you want to do with that. So it does store that information on the server though, so you have that information available.
Can you edit the cart?
Can you change how many items are in there?
Yeah, like once you save it and then you move on, can you go to your history?
Yeah. So yeah, if we come back over here and we go into history, that Well, okay. It doesn't restore those items in history, so I had scanned it earlier. So let's see, where was that one? No, that wasn't that one. Which one of
Yep.
those again?
Oh, that wasn't it. That's it right there.
Oh, yeah, there it is. Sorry. So yeah, it does store that in there though, so you can bring that back up and let's say you found another one, so you can add another one to it.
Gotcha.
So
Very cool.
okay, let's see. Let's try scanning. Or what this one was. Lined out a few things to scan, but it scans paper barcodes really well. Not always on the screen very well. There it goes. Okay. So like this one, it's a Lodge cast iron skillet. Okay. Now scan this one. There happens to be two items out there that have that UPC. One of them seems to be somebody's. Looks like made a bundle or something. So probably shouldn't have been using that UPC, but that happens. So one thing that Scan Genie does do that some other apps don't do is it sorts these by rank, so that the lowest rank items are at the top. Usually the item that you're wanting is going to be closer to the top. You don't have to scroll down as much. We're looking for that item right there. All right. So this is an example of an item that's sold by Amazon. So if the item sold by Amazon, the category bar up here will be kind of Amazon yellowy orange, and it'll have a little Amazon icon outside of it, so you can easily see that. But here, let me see. So I got something scanned that it doesn't recommend. That one doesn't either. A sec. There. Instead of me trying to find I want you to see what it looks like when it doesn't recommend an item. But let's do here. We'll do some more Legos here. This is how you do a text search as well. You can just search for things, but it's probably not going to be anything I won't recommend. I should have already gotten some up here that would do that. I don't think I did. Okay, I'm just going to randomly pick something here, so I don't know what this is going to be. Oh, okay. He wants me to buy everything. Let's see.
You're having some good luck.
I know. Let's see. There's something it wouldn't want me to buy. This is like an awful listing. Come on. Okay. Here's a good example of a bad pictures anyway. Okay, so this particular item has a 1.4 million rank in kitchen, so this is probably not something you want to go buy. So based on the category tiers we have set up, we didn't have one actually set up for kitchen, so this is actually hitting the default tier. But the percentage on it is 2.72% in kitchen. So, and quite possibly this may be a private label item too. Who knows? It only has one seller. But anyway, since it didn't match any of our category tiers, though, it's recommending to the buyer here that to not buy this item. So this bar is going to be red if it's telling you not to buy it. So when you if you have a shop or a team of shoppers and you send them out with the app, for the most part, they just have to look at this and see if there's a red bar or a green bar, and if it's green, what the price says on it. That it makes that real easy then. So, um, do you have something to add to that, Paul?
I do not. I guess the main thing is always be testing your categories, scanning stuff yourself, making sure that things aren't being missed, or that they're saying that it's saying to buy stuff that the parameters are too high. So
Right.
you really have to know your parameters well. So always start conservative.
Yeah, and a good way to figure out what those parameters need to be is if you already have items that you bought, you can go through and scan those, and keep tweaking your settings until Scan Genie tells you that it's a good buy.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, if you already believe it's a good buy, then you can use that to match those settings to the items that you've already purchased, and you can kind of tweak things that way. All right, here is an example of the title search. This is, let's see if I can get the scanner. There it goes. This is and it's not going to actually recommend me buying this thing because it's a Christmas item, and I guess nobody's wanting a Christmas village set in May now. But so anyway, I scanned this, and there's no matches for this UPC on Amazon currently. So at the top up here, it says that it's a title search, and it's got little blinky red lights because it wants to make sure that you check it carefully, because it did do it based on just a textual title search. So, it's not always going to be completely accurate. We also got several other odd things down here. But again, Amazon's text search seems to be a little weird. So, but the item that we actually were trying to match, though, is this item at the top, though. So if I go that one, it's going to show me that it did a title search for this item. It's warning me that I need to check it really carefully. But that is the Christmas village, though, of the UPC that I was scanning, though. So again, that UPC is actually not on Amazon. So like if I go and if I went and scanned that with the Amazon seller app, it wouldn't find anything. But since this is going out and hitting our UPC database, it's finding the title for it and then going to Amazon to search by that title. So I mean, that gives you a means of being able to find a lot of items that other apps won't be able to find. I would show you an example of the third-party match, but I don't happen to have one of those readily available to scan with. But they come up quite often, especially when you're doing clothing. I don't know if Paul, if you found a lot of them outside of clothing or not, but I mean,
not too many.
But me and Paul both do a lot of clothing, so. But anyway, let's see. What else was I going to show you? I think that was just about it, actually. Do you have any other thoughts, Paul?
Yes. Hopefully, you don't hear my screaming child.
No.
The one thing that I don't know if you looked at the settings on doing the percentages.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so let's show you over here in the settings. So this lets you set where what your sales ranked, your sales tax is, and your discount. If you have discounted gift card, or you're at a 50% off sale or whatever it happens to be. So here, let's see what that looks like. Um, all right, let's see. Let's do this. Um, let's turn our discount on and let's set it for. Let's say you've got a 15% discounted gift card or something like that. All right, so let's scan these Legos here again. Okay. All right. I think when we scanned these earlier, it said it was a buy at 60 something or something like that. I don't remember exactly what it was. Okay, well, now it's showing that a 15% discount has been applied, and your buy at is $77.02. You know, earlier when we scanned it, it was 60 something because you weren't buying with that 15% off. So with that 15% off, your money actually goes a little bit further, and you can pay more for that item and still get the same ROI that you were expecting. So I mean, it gives you a means of being able to buy those items cheaper, basically. But whoever's doing the shopping doesn't have to really think about it as much, though. They don't have to do those calculations in their head or pull out a calculator or something. So it automatically makes those settings for you, or makes those adjustments for you. And then the tax settings are basically the same. It just does that in reverse. You're essentially having to pay a little bit more for those items instead of a little bit less, like you would with a gift card.
Yep. I think you hit everything. Did you show the restrictions? I don't know if you can do that with the demo app.
Well, I can't really do it in the demo, but I mean, this little menu button up here lets you do several things, but it lets you switch between new and used pricing. So, I mean, if you were looking at a used version of this Lego set, you could switch over used, and it'll change your buyout price based on that and based on used setting or used offers. You can link over to the Amazon website. That's what the Amazon link is there. Prime will take you to all the current Prime offers. CCC will take you to Camel. Keepa will take you to Keepa, and then restrictions will take you to add a plan inside of Seller Central, so you can quickly see if that item is restricted or not. Eventually, I want to be able to add in so it'll automatically show you those restrictions, but that didn't quite make it into the first release, so it'll get there.
Awesome.
All right. Let's see. Does anybody have any questions or want to see anything else? See anything different? Just put something in the chat and let us know.
Yeah. Oh, well, I think Todd he was the first to join and the last to stay. So, Todd, if you
Todd's hanging in.
He is.
Way to go, Todd.
He is. It's a lot, man, to go over.
Yeah. Well, I think we got it all into most of an hour. So
I think we did. You did good. Can team members see history of other team members?
Yes, they can. And I haven't found any reason not to do that. I don't know that they necessarily use that much. And Paul, I don't know, if your team members look at any of that or not. I mainly just like to look at it to be able to see, what my team is doing. Eventually I'd like to add into it and to be able to track like locations of where things are scanned out as well, so you can actually see where they are and maybe where they currently are. I check it quite fairly often, at least once a day or so, just to see if my team's out scanning anything right now. We've got four shoppers. We're not quite up to Paul's level yet. He's got it cranking out. Here, I'm gonna turn this thing off. Um,
Yeah.
let's
Yeah.
let's let's turn the sharing off, or at least
Any,
share this guy
anything
back.
to help with variations for shoes and clothes. Um, One thing with that, with shoes and clothes, is just being conservative. Um, like before I was using Scoutify and I was doing clothes and shoes, and I would look at variations and try to determine, like they have the How Many app. I don't know if you have that on your phone, where you can look at which variation sells the best based on the amount of reviews that it has. But that's typically a pretty far step. So one of the things that I've actually found is, um, if you're buying things, there isn't a feature on there to limit variations, right, John?
No, and I actually looked into that, and the problem with that is that Amazon's API will give you back, it will give you back all the variations, but the bad thing is it'll give you back all the variations, whether there's any current offers on them or not.
Mm,
And quite often there are variations on a listing way more than there actually are current offers. So I mean, I've seen a listing that had like 60 variations on it, but there were only really 20 offers on it.
yeah,
And Amazon's API won't give you back how many offers, how many are actually being really used. Because I've seen some that they look like they're basically duplicated or different, different naming of the same one, and a lot of those aren't actually used. So I would like, I think it would be an awesome thing to do. I just haven't found a good way of doing it yet, though, because Amazon's data doesn't really give you a means of doing it.
and I haven't found it to be adverse to not have um, any kind of extra help with the variations other than just going off the sales rank. You know,
Right.
I think it's just, again, starting out conservative and then going from there, um, to kind of limit. If you scan a shoe and it's ranked 1,000, but there's 50 variations, that's a lot different than a shoe that's ranked 1,000 with 5 variations. Obviously, the sales velocity is going to vary greatly, um, but you can basically make that determination if you so desire to just return something. That's typically the worst case scenario. Um,
Right.
but
Yeah.
that we do it every day, and that rarely ever happens.
Yeah. I mean, we do a lot of that too, and I don't know that we've really had a huge amount of problem with that. Um, of the variations really hurting too much. Um, I mean, we do return some stuff from time to time, but I mean, it's usually because the price has changed before, in between buying and listing. That happens from time to time or whatever. But I mean, um,
Anything else, Todd? Let's see. You see that, John Paul?
yeah, yeah, to be able to pull in the reviews and yeah, I've actually thought about that. It doesn't currently do that. I would like it to do that. I'm probably going to look at that in the next version or two to be able to do that. Um, that's going to be a little bit tricky to get it to work the way that Genie works, but it should be doable though. So
Do you use How Many, John Paul? Do you know what that is?
you talking about the app on your
Yeah.
phone?
Well, there's
I,
an app and there's the Chrome extension.
Yeah, I usually just use the. I don't have anything on my phone that does that, but I usually just use the Keep It extension and
How
enter.
Many they have a mobile feature, or mobile app, as well
Right.
as desktop. Um, but uh, but yeah, it's very helpful for OA, especially if you're doing things with a lot of variations, because then you can just pick and choose which variations sell the quickest,
Right.
like, based on the number of views.
Right. There's um, and I'm not sure if it's completely free or what, but I mean, I used to, I was using tactical arbitrage last year, and they have a popular products extension. You ever looked at that?
No.
And I really don't even remember exactly how I installed it. I don't know if it's just a free one or if it came with my subscription to tactical arbitrage, and I've since canceled that. But I mean, I still have the extension though. But it'll do the same thing though. It'll give you based on reviews. It'll tell you what the popular items are. So if you're looking at a shoe, it'll tell you what the colors are that are the best, and what sizes are the best.
Yeah, same.
So, but yeah, I would like to add that kind of thing into the app though. So, at some point in time.
But it is, Todd, I can definitely speak from experience that it's been really helpful with the team building factor for sure. How many
Yeah.
team members can you have?
You can have as many as you want. I mean, there's not a set maximum of team members currently.
In the world.
I'm gonna see how many Paul comes up with. So
Yeah. As people come on and come off, you can add them, delete them. My mother-in-law helps me ship. She doesn't source, but she has the app on her phone. Just made her a team member just so she can see if there's if a shopper brings something in and there's a question about it, then she can just scan it with the app. And one nice thing about it is it easily pulls up the ASIN. And then also, like, if it's a title search or a third party match, something like that, where they have to match the product to the picture on the listing, if it's not exact, then they can go, oh, okay, well, that's why they missed something there.
right. That's something else I want to add to the web end at some point in time is a history search, so you can go through and find those items, without having to use the app itself anyway. Because that's I kind of have a back end way of doing that right now, but it's not really built into the whole interface yet. But I've needed to do that several times to be able to go find why did they buy this, and if something didn't quite look right or well, it didn't match up quite right. So, but I mean that's not often or anything, but it's good to be able to research that stuff though. So I'm going to add that into the web interface at some point in time too.
John Paul, would it ever be possible to match the sales rank with the 90-day keep average? The snapshot of what it currently is.
Yeah, it would be, and I'd like to get to that point. That's kind of like a version 2 kind of thing I want to do. Mm-hmm. The keep data or API data is available though. It's not free. So I mean, that's one of the reasons I didn't do that right off the bat. But I mean, but yeah, with that data, actually, I could do a lot of things though. We could do, 30, 90-day sales rank averages. Could do pricing averages. You could maybe to more accurately, because as it is right now, the checks to see if Amazon is actually a seller is not quite accurate all the time. It's accurate for a good amount of the time, but Amazon doesn't actually give us that data. Their API doesn't really say who that they're selling an item. But if we had the Keep API data, that could be a bit more accurate.
Cool.
And there's some other things we could get out of that too. So I hope to be able to do that at some point in time though. There's lots of data we can pull into this. So I mean, the more data you can get, the better recommendations it can give you.
Todd, thanks for joining us and sticking with it.
Yeah. Thanks, Todd.
We appreciate it.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess we should cut this thing off. Hopefully, I didn't
Yeah.
fill up your hard drive with the recording now. So,
Does if Todd wants to go and get it, does he have the link for that?
oh, um, well, Todd. Let's see. I'm gonna put the link up here just to be on our recording here. Let's see. That can be the link you'd want to go to get it. And if you do get it through that link, Paul gets a little little gas money.
There you go.
Good. There you go. So, but yeah, there's also a 7-day free trial on that too. So,
Very cool.
you can check it out. So, all right, I think that's all we got for tonight. Thanks for coming by and checking it out, and have a good rest of your week.
All righty. See y'all later.
Have a good one. Bye.